welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to tackle that centre engine mount on my small little smart car. It's a job I've been putting off for a while, but now I've got a little bit of time, I'm going to have a go. So it's not an easy job. I had thought about cutting a hole in the back panel behind the driver's seat and the passenger seat to try and get access to that engine mount. It's quite high up and quite difficult to get access to, so I'm going to use lowering bolts, and I'll leave the link to those below in the description. Thank you for watching. If you find it informative, please give me a thumbs up. It does help the channel. Right, let's do it. This is the centre engine mount that's just behind the driver, or between the driver and the passengers. Right, so I'm in the middle of the car underneath it at the moment, and it looks like there's a leg here, a rubber leg there that's on the engine mount, one there, and I think one above. If the one above is broken or snapped, it's sunk right down, there's no gap at all. So that might be the problem. So I'm going to replace this one first. So if I pan round, please stay in focus, you can see that it's actually, when I hit a bump, it's actually fouling on the under part of the car. It's that engine mount I'm going to try and take out first and modify it, because I don't want to be coming back to this engine mount again. Right, let's get the jar, let's get it up. So that's going to be my reference mark. It's just so that when I take it apart, put it back together, I can line it up and put it back in exactly the right position. Now what I'm going to do is I've bought these polyurethane bushes, and I'm going to fit these in today. This is the centre engine mount. It's a very difficult one to get to, and these will go clamp inside. So let's take it apart, put these in and clamp it back up again. Just see how much movement there is in there. That's a lot, isn't it? So the bushes will take away some of that movement. Look at that again. Will happen, I guess. That will go into there like that, and then same on the other side. Let's put it back together and see what. Stiffer, a lot of movement there. What I'm going to do is make a bond between the polyurethane and the rubber. I am not taking this one off again. Yeah, there are gaps. Oh, fantastic. See, that didn't ooze out, did it? Might ooze out this time though. Stiffer. Right, even though all that silicone in there, let's leave that 24 hours, and then we can start thinking about putting it on the car. It hasn't oozed, only a little bit has oozed out, so lots of gaps between the polyurethane and the rubber bush. That's the part number for the polyurethane bushes. So before you lower your car, make sure the handbrake is off, because at the moment the cable will stretch and the brake shoes will engage with the hub and self-adjust, and you'll find that the wheels will get locked up. And I know this because I've done it, and I've got to take the hubs off and readjust my brakes. So make sure your handbrake is off. And that's not even all the way, but it gives you so much room. And we should be able to see two of the bolts that I'm trying to get to. So this is the centre mount. This top part is fixed to the subframe and this part goes onto the engine, and it's these two bolts that we can now see. So if I zoom in, so if you follow my magnet, you'll see that there's a bolt there. We can now see it, so we can undo it, and there's another one just an inch or so closer to the engine, so we can get to these. You can see it's mounted high up, almost impossible to get at unless you lower the engine. There's the alternator, and if you do lower the subframe, it's a lot easier to get to the alternator as well. I am going to split this engine mount, so I can't see the bolts that attach this bracket to the engine. If I can't see it, I can't take them off. What I could do is take the two bolts from the top that I just showed you off, supporting the engine at the same time, then undo this bolt and then take this part of the engine mount out and replace it. That would expose the bolts behind it. I don't see the point in taking them off. The bracket itself looks fine, so we just use this half of the engine mount that's been supplied. Let me show you on the bench what I'm going to do. So that is how the engine mount is mounted. So I can get to these two bolts, I can't get to these three, but like I said, underneath the car I can get to this bolt. So what I could do is leave these bolts on the engine, take this part off, and then reattach that to this part that I leave on the engine. So I think that would be the easiest way. Mind you, if I do split the mount and take this off, I should be able to see these bolts if I wanted to replace it, but the bracket on the engine actually looks fine, and I don't really want to touch them if I don't need to. So that's the plan. So I'm going to undo these now. It's coming off. I don't know whether it's going back on. Let's find you again. There we go. So that's dropped already, and I wanted to put the screwdriver in just to hold it there when I take the two top bolts off, but it's dropped already. I'm just going to line it up with a little trolley jack underneath this subframe. Then I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think this is going to help when it comes to putting the other half of it in. Right, you're going to need some multiple extension bars. Let's just see if that turns. Oh, I can't get the turning. You will need an extension bar with about that much, another extension bar, and your E16 socket on the end, and you can just reach in and get to those nuts from the top and start them off. I wouldn't recommend using the extension bar and the twisty type. Use something simple so you can get something nice and square onto that so you can undo it. Otherwise you risk rounding these off. Yeah, it's out. So we just got it out. There's your problem. It's completely come apart. I'll turn it round and show you. There. It's almost completely off, isn't it? So that's the centre mount. We've just taken it out, and we had to squeeze that bolt out and away from the handbrake or the e-brake at an angle, so we'll be putting it in the other way when we go to assemble it, so just a nut goes on that side. But if I turn it round, you see more clearly, completely shot. Hopefully that's our problem. So just to make sure, I put a witness mark on here so that that is on there. And that's going to replace that one. So polyurethane bushes, also filled up with silicone, really solid, should last a lot longer. And this is going to go into the van like that. So that's the engine side. That's towards the front. That's towards the front. So this bolt won't go in that way. It will go in that way, and we're putting that on that side. Okay, it just gives us a little bit more room. Okay, and then we attach these bolts with some Loctite. So before I do install it, just to show that that top bolt gets very close to that housing, and the back is quite an easy fit. However, on the new one, that go in there nice, that one is actually going to hit on there, so I am going to shorten one of these bolts before I put it back on. You can see the problem, there's the hole, it's going to hit that base there, so I'm going to shorten it by about that much. To always, if you're cutting that off, always run a nut on past where you're going to cut that off, and then when we undo the nut it cleans that thread up. Now we put on the aluminium one. Right, ready to go. This needs to face that way, so I need to, that cable is going to be in the way. Just get it out of the way for the moment, pop it back a bit later, and it's a squeeze. Can I get it in from underneath? No, the sump's in the way, so that needs to go in past there. And then twist, get it past. Oh, that went in then. It went in and then it went out. Careful with the brake line, just gently. Yeah. See if I can get a bolt in from the top, and then that might, if I can get a bolt in from the top, you might just pull it up to the top of the bracket. Let's get Jack underneath, see if we can get some movement. Got a little scissor jack underneath now the subframe. I'm just going to jack it up, see if I can get the holes to line. Oh yeah, up comes that. How easy is that? Oh, that's through to the other end as well. Wow, 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 wow. Jack can come off. Oh yes. Get some blue tack or something and just tape that on to a spanner and then just hold it underneath, because I can't get my hands underneath there, it's too narrow. See if I can get it from the top. So I actually got it started from the top. I'm just going to wedge a 17 under there now. Get on there. Okay, short of 17. Okay. Let's crank that up. Now it's confession time. I've made two big mistakes. So when I lowered the subframe and the engine, I had the handbrake on, and what that did is it just pushed the brake shoes out onto the drum, and the adjuster has adjusted them out to the drum, so they're locked in position. So I'm going to have to take the drums off and readjust the brakes. And the other thing I did, getting excited again, I get a bit carried away sometimes, is I put the bolts in to locate this in the subframe. I got this side bolt in here that was on, I tightened that up properly. But what I didn't do is I didn't use any Loctite to tighten these bolts up. I just put them in there by hand. So I'm going to have to lower the whole thing again, put some Loctite on and tighten these bolts up, and then raise the frame again. So I'll do that off camera, and then I'll come back to you when everything's in position, because you've seen me do it. I don't think there's any value in watching me do it again. Right, I'll see you in a bit. Slowly let the jack down. It's going to lower itself onto those lowering bolts. So this bolt is going to screw into here on the car. I won't be able to show you that on the vehicle. Right, we can get the engine back up, just jack it up. The bolts are in there, so oh, what relief. It's really nice to see it go back up. I have a sneaky feeling it'll be going back down again one day, but hey, it's all a bit of fun, isn't it? Right, let's get those lowering bolts out and put the original bolts back in. Well, let's try it. Turn the radio off. Right. Put it into gear. Now on takeoff, I normally get a thump. Let's see if we get a thump. No thump. Oh! Yes! Hear the squeaking gun? What result? You just turn the car around. Just make sure it's not a fluke. Let's go over that bumpy ground again. Let's just stop it on the bumpy ground. Let's just try that again. So dead still. Normally on takeoff I get a thump. Nothing. A little bit of vibration. But other than that, a little bit of vibration at low revs. But that's because of the polyurethane bushes. So, all that work. I am chuffed.